everyone, and welcome to 1.21 Gigawatts. I am Peter, that is Connor, and this is our brand new trailer talk series, which we're going to do every week, more or less. And the reason why I say more or less is because there might be some weeks where there's not that many trailers to talk about, so we'll just roll it over into the following week. So we'll leave the option open for that. That's not an issue this week, however. This week, we have 17 movie trailers that we're going to comment on and sort of work our way through and talk about how we feel about them as a trailer, how we feel about the movie in terms of our excitement, and anything else we'd like to discuss. And at the end of the show, we'll pick our favourite. We'll always pick our favourite at the end. I think there's so many this week that we might even do a top 5.
I could do a top 5 of these.
Yeah, I think we should do a top 5 this episode.
Because I was thinking, it's like, how do I pick my favourite? This is tough.
No, you still have to pick your
It's going to be a
favourite.
lot of honourable mentions, though, otherwise, wasn't it?
Yeah, so do top 5 this week. When there's this many, I think we'll do a top 5, but typically it'll just be picking a favourite at the end of the show. So this is a new thing for us, kind of, and I say kind of because this was part of just a movie news show, which we still have every week, but we decided that the trailer section's so big sometimes that it actually just made sense to take it out and put it on as its own show. So this is 1.21 Gigawatts trailer talk, and it's the first episode. Please be excited. We're going to get into it. It was a huge
We'll
week.
give you a minute now just to contain your excitement.
Yes, we'll sit in silence as we feel emotions.
I think that's about enough.
First up, right into it. As I say, it's just straight into it. This is the format of the show. We have trailers to talk about, so let's get going. So, first up, Halloween. Actually, first I should say is there'll be links to all these trailers in the description. So if you've not seen any of them, you can sort of watch them as we're talking about them and kind of like come back in and out.
Pause it, watch the trailer, and then jump back to us.
So, Halloween is up first. Halloween, clearly the most important. If clearly the most important trailer this week.
To you, definitely. I don't know if that's actually true. That in most weeks, I would agree that that would probably be the most important.
Look,
trailer.
I'll say this right now. There's like 4 big animated movie trailers. I think Halloween's more important than any of them, even though they're all big franchise things. They're all either sequels or ones like we've already had a teaser trailer for. Halloween had a bigger question mark on it.
No, that's fair. Do you know what it's interesting. At the start of the week, when we were getting all these animated trailers, I was like, why is there so many animated... This is before I knew how many just trailers in general there were.
Yeah.
It's like, why is there so many animated... It dawned on me. Incredibles 2 is about to come out, and they want all these out so they can put it in front of that.
Ah, yes, that makes sense. That makes sense. They want to advertise all the animated movies for the fall and the winter.
And even next spring.
And even next spring, in the case of 1 or 2. So, yes, Halloween first. This is the Halloween... direct sequel to the original film that is ignoring every single sequel. And
well, yeah, I have questions about that as well.
Oh, we'll talk about it. We'll get into it once I just explain kind of the gist of this. So, very curious to see what this was going to feel like, what it was going to look like. I am someone who despises the Rob Zombie remakes. We've not actually, because obviously we do a horror movie review show, me and Tim, called Screams After Midnight, and we have reviewed all the Halloween movies up till Resurrection so far. We're going to do the remakes before the new one comes out this year. We've kind of spread them out over a few Octobers. And I think we're going to do the original again, because we did the original way back at the start of the show when we were terrible at it. So I think we want to just update the original one to bring it up to spec with the rest of the reviews. But, you know, I hate the remakes so much. I hate what they did to those films. And I mean, I hate a lot of the sequels as well, but I hate the remakes more than any of those. Even Halloween 6, which is absolutely terrible, I still hate Rob Zombie's films more than that. Alright? So, obviously, and the original film is my favourite horror film of all time, right? Also worth mentioning.
Yeah.
I am invested in this. I am passionate about this. It has been a long time since a Halloween film came out. It has been an extremely long time since a half-decent Halloween film came out. And I wasn't born before, you know, any of the good ones before that came out, right? H2O was the half-decent one in my lifetime. Everything else has been bad to downright absolutely atrocious. That's where we are here. But John Carpenter's involved in this one. Jamie Lee Curtis is back, which again really makes it clear that they're ignoring some of the later films, given that she died in one of them. So here we are. We got this film. It's 40 years later, which made me feel a little bit old because I remember H2O coming out being 20 years later. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, so what is this? What was the style going to be? What was the tone? We find out that Michael has been back in the asylum for
that was my first question on that. They talk about how that night he got they apprehended him. I was like, didn't that not happen till Halloween 2?
It didn't happen at all.
No, okay, but I thought that stuff, the stuff they referred to, I thought they kind of went down that route at the end of Halloween 2. No?
It didn't happen at all. He was burned alive at the end of 2. He died.
That's what I was thinking of. They got him. That's what I was thinking.
End of 1, he just disappeared into the night. We didn't know where he was. So what this is doing is saying that later that night they caught him.
They caught him, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Which, admittedly, I don't know if I necessarily love that on its own, but the idea that he's been in an asylum again for the past 40 years waiting for this does feel Halloween-y.
It does.
For lack of a better term.
It's a long wait, but...
So did I like the trailer, I guess? Because obviously the plot of the movie is he gets out, and he comes back to Haddonfield, and killing begins, right? That's the plot.
It's a Halloween movie.
Jamie Lee Curtis is a little bit Sarah Connor. She's been waiting for this. She's got guns. Yeah. She's got a safe room. She's ready to go. She actually says to the sheriff, "I've been praying that he will escape." He's like, "Why? So I can kill him." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, all right, I'll buy it." I love the trailer. I'm actually a very good trailer. I could not have predicted how good this was going. Like, I was hoping I wouldn't, because I think what I was hoping for was that I wouldn't be worried, that I'd come out of it going, "Oh, you know what? I'm actually hopeful after this." I'm not only hopeful, I'm excited, I'm ecstatic. I have a couple of minor complaints, but
no, it's a very strong trailer overall. It's got style, it's got its tone, it's got pacing for the trailer.
It's got pacing, and more specifically, it's got the style that's reminiscent of the first movie. There's small fights with Michael, the Shape, right? Because proper Halloween fans, he's the Shape. He's not Michael Myers, right? Just when he's got that mask on, he is the Shape. I know I'm being a nerd. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you are.
But I love it, right? So there's small moments that feel like moments from that original film. The way the camera handles it. The only moment that I feel kind of betrays who the Shape is in terms of what he would do. There's a moment in this trailer where he drops teeth over the bathroom stall, and that felt a little bit out of character.
Yeah, I never thought he was that theatrical.
Yeah, I never. That felt just a little bit out to me. And then the other, I mean, he is kind of theatrical. He does set up the tombstone and stuff in the first movie.
But not with the teeth like that.
Yeah, that felt a bit more like a gory thing. And I don't think of Michael as a gory slasher. I think of him as a very sort of clean and to the point slasher.
Yeah, that's why I say it felt theatrical. I feel like he kind of just gets the job done, right?
Yeah. But he does also have the part with the sheet and stuff, so there is a little bit of theatricality to him. It's not completely absent, but so there was that. My biggest small complaint, again, very small complaint. My biggest small complaint would be the very talking directly to the audience about wasn't that your grandmother's brother? I was like, no, that was something people made up. I'm like, okay, I get we're raising 2 and that bullshit backstory. It felt so. You don't have to address it. Don't bring it up.
Do you know what's really funny to me about that is the first time I saw Halloween, I saw a TV edit, which had the idea that he was a brother in it. So to me, that wasn't even something that came in that was retconned in 2. That was something that was in the original, and obviously I didn't see the original cut till a little bit later. And I was like, okay, that was weird.
Yeah, I've never seen the TV cut. I mean, I've seen the scenes that were added separately for curiosity's sake, but the first film's paced so well that I would never want to,
I would never watch that now. But again, I didn't know any better. It was the first time I'd seen it. It was on TV. I just thought, I'll watch this.
So, good trailer. It's well edited. Pacing's good. Yeah. It's all original Halloween music in the entire thing. You get the little subtle bits of it early on, and then it properly kicks in. When Michael puts the mask on, he puts the mask on, and it's and it goes from there. And all the moments feel true to the spirit of the original film. And I think there's some shots of Michael's reflection in the glass at one point. There's a scene of a trick or treater bumping into him. It all feels very authentic Halloween.
Even the bit at the end with the closet is kind of a callback to the stuff with the closet in the first movie, right?
There's even a shot in this. I don't know if it's Michael in this film, but there's a shot of someone sitting in the ghost sheet.
Yeah.
There's a callback, obviously. But the bit at the end, the trailer, which is what's her face from Runaways, is the babysitter in that scene.
Yes.
I don't know if you noticed, but where she's trying to shut the closet and it keeps not shutting. The baby, the kid's like, hey, you shut. She's scared. There's monsters in the closet, and she's like, shutting. It doesn't shut. Does it a second time? Doesn't shut. Does it a third time? Doesn't shut. She's like, what's going on? And she just opens, and Michael's just standing there.
Yeah.
It's a great moment. It's a great scene. They sold me on this movie. honestly, I mean, obviously I had a couple of minor complaints in the trailer itself, but they're very minor in the grand scheme of things. I am happy to be excited for a Halloween movie, which I have basically never really been in my lifetime. When I think about it, because there's never been a new one coming out that's been exciting. Because H2O came out before I probably got into them.
You cared. Yeah.
Or around that time is when I started to care, but I wasn't caring before it came out. But I was too young.
As a question, were people excited for that, or was it more of a, oh, this is actually all right?
Well, again, I was young at the time.
I know. I figured you might have looked into it since then.
I think there was some reasonable excitement because they had Jamie Lee Curtis back.
Okay.
And they had some producers were back and stuff. There was no Carpenter, but I think it was definitely the truest sequel in a while at the time.
So do you know what? No one's talking about the real question here though.
What's that?
Is 3 still canon?
3 was never canon.
3 was always canon.
3's in a different universe because they're watching.
3 is a different franchise essentially.
Because they're watching Halloween TV, so it doesn't matter if it's canon or not. It's not part of the same world.
I know, but
it's fictional.
I just wanted to bring up the uncertainty of 3 again, even though I quite like that movie.
It's fictional within this universe.
It is, yeah.
So I'm ecstatic. The trailer looks great. I have very little to complain about. But the only sort of criticism I would make in general is that I wish it had a different title. It's just Halloween again.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
It's this thing. I feel like games are more guilty of this, where they'll kind of do a sequel but just call it the same name again because they want the name value of not having a number after it.
Do you know what? See, I understand it in gaming, because in gaming it typically happens when you cross generations, and and it was exclusive on a console last generation, and they're like, oh, people might not have had that console and played the game, so we want it to seem fresh and appealing, right?
Okay.
Whereas here, anyone can just go and watch Halloween. I get it. Some people, you might not want to go back and buy an Xbox 360 to play an Xbox One game now. That's effort, but it's...
Like, the name they had temporarily for a while was Halloween Returns, which was kind of a stupid name because Halloween's not returning. Halloween's been here every year. What are you talking about? I don't know what you call it. Call it Halloween the Night He Came Home or something like that. Use the tagline from the first movie. That may be fun. Or I mean, that's not perfect, but admittedly, there's not very many subtitles that I think will sound good because you run the risk of...
It's not your job to think of it, though, is it?
Yeah, but you run the risk of it because Halloween Resurrection sounds like a direct-to-video cheapy movie, right? And it wasn't direct-to-video, but it was a cheapy movie. But you run that risk. Obviously, Halloween sounds quite classy. H4O doesn't sound quite right.
No, it doesn't.
So I don't know what you could call it. I don't know if you go really ballsy and just call it Halloween Part 2.
I think that would have been the strongest thing for me. Halloween again. Something along those lines. Just the idea of it's happening again, sort of thing.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
But hey, it's a very
strong trailer, though.
Because the movie itself looks great from that trailer. So well put together trailer, and I'm excited to see it. So that'll be a big Screams movie come October. So heavily looking forward to that.
That'll be your tentpole for the month.
Tentpole, we'll get 2 tentpoles, more than that later. So next up, we had the trailer for Bumblebee, the Transformers spin-off about Bumblebee, set in the 80s, and obviously, vehicle-based Transformers movies are pretty notorious at this point for being terrible. One wasn't necessarily a terrible movie itself, but it wasn't amazing either. It did some things okay. It had some other elements, and as the series went on, it just got worse and worse and worse. And I never saw the 5th one. I just tapped out at that point.
I tapped out after 1. I like 1. I think it's still, it's not perfect, but I think it's pretty fun. Even now, I could probably sit through it and have a good time.
Mm.
But I saw the second trailer and I was like, do you know what? I don't need this.
I think 1 is probably hurt if you've seen the sequels, because I think the problematic elements of the sequels are actually still kind of in 1, but I think they're going to annoy you more once you've already been pissed off with them with the other films.
That makes sense.
Because I think when I've seen 1 again, and it's been a while now, admittedly, it's not like a film I watched that much, but whenever I've seen it, I've always thought, all this soldier plot, you could probably cut all this out.
No, I agree. It's not a perfect movie, but I think it's a good movie.
But I'd be hesitant to say good even, but it's not bad.
I will be honest. I haven't watched it in a while, so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm misremembering.
Yeah.
But I think just we've been hearing about this for a while, obviously, and if you follow the news show that we do, we've had some opinions when it's come up in the past. I've been cautiously optimistic, maybe more than I probably should have been.
That's just because you like Haley Steinfeld, though.
And Travis Knight.
Okay, and the director, sure, all right.
That was the main draw. That was like,
right.
I like his film.
Okay. Well, so I mean, there's not potential in this, but it's kind of like, okay, we've had 5 Transformers movies. They're on the whole pretty terrible. We don't really want any more of them, right? So I didn't care who it was. I wasn't going to be interested until they proved something otherwise. And honestly, this trailer's not bad. Like,
I really like it. And again, I'm not quite as negative on the franchise because I've only seen one and didn't sit through the shite. But I think it looks pretty good.
I think the big thing is, I think this is telling that it's the first time that Michael Bay's not directed one of these, and all of a sudden the Transformers themselves look much better. Like, they're not overly complicated. Bumblebee looks a lot more like the Gen 1 Bumblebee. Starscream, who kind of appears briefly in the trailer, looks a lot more like, Starscream. They look better. They still look like advanced and mechanical, but they're not ridiculously over-designed. There's, they have bigger, proper chunks of metal.
Sleeker, yeah.
And the thing is, though, is I see this and I immediately go, can I get like just a full Transformers movie? Like, after this one, let's just set in the 80s. Even though they're not supposed to arrive until 2007, I don't care.
Just treat this like, what Fox did with X-Men, Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
Just go, screw it. Just do a soft reboot with this.
I want Optimus, but in this Gen 1 style from these two that we've seen in this trailer.
No, I'm with you. This is a really strong trailer, because obviously it's a bit of a they're playing up the mystery a little bit for a while because it's first contact, so to speak, right? And then it's got some comedy in there that lands pretty well with the tape. I thought that timing of that was pretty strong.
Well, at the end, the Rickroll thing.
Yeah, and when he spits the tape out as well. I thought the timing is pretty good. But I'm like, yeah, this looks like a proper movie that's got some heart to it.
Well, yeah, because what they're doing with this one is that this is the usually it's a child. This is not a child. Haley Steinfeld's an adult now, but it's basically doing the loner befriends the robot who's kind of a big friendly giant, and the robot's going to end up defending her from the villains. John Cena's in there. He seems to be playing like a military man who's after the aliens. He's the bad guy.
I have no opinion on him really as an actor.
We got Starscream as the probably the only villain, so we're probably only going to have the 2 Transformers.
Which I think is kind of smart. It's kind of lower stakes, right?
Oh, it is. No, I'm fine with that. That's not a complaint. But I'm into it because it seems to be doing that specific thing with it, which instantly makes it more interesting than just the same thing again that the last 5 Transformers movies have done.
Have you seen Cuba and the Two Strings yet?
No.
No, that's very much the journey of the kid finding and his parent figures and and that protective bond, which is kind of a similar thing what this is dealing with, and obviously it was done masterfully in Kubo. So I'm expecting it to be pretty strong here as well.
So I am now cautiously optimistic.
Hey, if this is this is Christmas time, right? This one's coming.
Yes, December. Yeah.
Yeah. So if this is my Christmas movie this year, I'm okay with that.
You got Aquaman too.
It says a lot. I'm more excited about this than Aquaman, doesn't it? Christ, what a world we live in.
I know. So, no, surprisingly, it looks like it might actually be good. It seems to have a bit of heart to it. It's focused on the right thing. I like these types of stories. It's just the Transformers franchise has such a stigma at this point.
It's been tainted a little.
That it needs to kind of overcome that. But the designs of the Transformers, the fact that they're using the classic sort of Autobot symbol sort of behind the title, all it makes me want them to do is just basically jettison the rest of the franchise, just retcon it all out of history, and just continue from here.
If this does well, they might.
It's worth mentioning right now they have no other Transformers movies on their schedule. They had one briefly and then they moved it and they cancelled it. Or not outright cancelled, but
just removed it from the schedule.
Yeah. So Yeah, if this does well, maybe they'll rethink that and they'll maybe put some more Transformers
I
movies.
think it really depends on how this one performs now. This is the last-ditch effort of, okay, where do we go from here with the franchise?
Yeah, so we'll see. But Bumblebee is surprisingly a good trailer, so take it for way well. Next up, we had a trailer. We had the full trailer. We had a teaser a while back, but we've got a full trailer here for Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse, the animated Sony movie. Focusing on Miles Morales. Of course, Peter Parker is in there amongst another person who shows up at the end of the trailer.
I don't think I ever saw the teaser.
Okay.
Was it before we did the news show in general?
I don't know. I think I remember. No, it was this year. I remember talking about it. And saying that.
I don't remember ever seeing it.
Because I like the look of it. I was really impressed with the animation style.
Well, that was the first thing that stuck out to me. I was like, oh, this looks different. And I don't remember seeing anything like this before.
I don't know. I seem to recall doing it, but I mean, maybe you've just forgotten, or
maybe. Even just the style. I was like, whoa, this is different. This is fresh.
Everything out in nighttime New York when he's like falling through the sky, he's on the building, the police cars are like running around, or even when he's running through the street and there's like narration boxes from comic books just in the sky as he's running down. There's a lot of style to this.
There's the big sound effects from comics that pop up at points as well.
But again, it sort of fits in with the animation style, so it kind of fits in there. Instead of, it's almost like it frees for instead of just having the sound effect, the entire image turns into like a piece of comic art for a split second.
Yeah.
Well, it does it. It's a really fun style. Now, I like Miles Morales. I also like Spider-Man in general. You're not familiar with Miles Morales. You've just not read much of him. But you're not necessarily a big Spider-Man fan.
I can take or leave him.
Yeah. But you sound like you enjoyed this trailer.
I did, because, I mean, one, this is Lord and Miller, which, so I was excited for this movie based on them.
Yeah, funny.
Because I'm a fan of their work.
Yeah.
But also just, it's so refreshing to see a different style of anime. I feel like, it's funny, because on the news last week, we were talking about how, since Pixar came along and changed the game, that's the de facto go-to style for animated movies now.
Yeah, it's the house style that everyone just kind of uses more or less. Yeah, and
there are exceptions, of course. You still have like Laker Studios putting out the stop motion. Aardman, of course, doing that as well. Because obviously we just mentioned Kubo. That was very different. But in terms of just the general 3D CG animation, there's the Pixar sort of style that I expect, and this is just so different that it's so refreshing that I'm into it just on that alone before even anything else.
No, I agree. I think it looks fantastic, and that's just the visuals. I think on top of that, because that's the last trailer barely had any like dialogue or any kind of like plot hint, right? Whereas this one's no, it's okay. So we get to meet his dad, which is funny. The humor's there. That scene where his dad's a policeman and he drops him off his school, and Miles is walking up the stairs and he gets on his thingamajig.
Yeah.
What would you call it? The
intercom?
The tannoy.
I think that's it. Tannoy.
It's a tannoy in a supermarket. I don't know if it's a tannoy when it's strapped to the top of a police car.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Anyway, he's like, hey, I said I love you, Miles. You got to say it back. And so he's saying that. Obviously, it's broadcasting out, so everyone outside in the school can hear this, and they all stop and listen. And he just stands there and argues with his dad. Dad, you're doing this really right now in front of everyone. He's like, I need to hear it back. And it draws it out just enough. And it's the way he says, copy that when he finally does say I love you. It just, it's funny.
Yeah.
But you got Jake Johnson as Peter, so Spider-Man. Which is
inspired casting that I never knew I wanted until I heard it.
It does work. It absolutely works. And at the end, we find out Spider-Gwen's part of this as well.
Are they calling her that? Because obviously they've got the new Spider Ghost Spider, whatever they're calling her now.
Yeah, they might use that. I don't know. They've not said. So, because in the trailer she says she's Gwen Stacy. She didn't say what her hero name is.
Code name, yeah.
Yeah. But nah, like everything there was kind of fun. The fighting looked good, both when it was Miles or Peter. Like either one. Like we see some fight scenes with both of them. They both look good. The humor seems to be there, and all of a sudden this is like, again,
I'm excited.
More exciting than Aquaman. And Aquaman might end up. I mean, we've not seen a trailer for Aquaman. Aquaman might end up looking great when we see it, but
it might, yeah. But we're skeptical right now. This might be the comic book movie I'm most excited for this year.
We've already had like half of them.
No, but even out of all of them, I feel like when I do my end of year list,
Mm.
Based on this, I'm kind of expecting this to be the one that's at the top of that list out of the comic book movies.
It looks good. I don't think anyone was expecting much. It was the first teaser that made me go, oh, wait a minute. This looks really good.
There's the shot where Miles is falling and it kind of goes upside down.
Yeah.
And oh, it's just gorgeous.
Yeah, that was in the first teaser.
Yes, I'm sure I haven't seen this because I feel like I'd remember that.
Yeah, I don't know why you haven't seen it.
I don't know. I didn't know there was a teaser until you just said that. I just thought we'd jump straight into a trailer.
People were talking about it. I remember talking about it with everyone else around at the time.
I completely missed it somehow.
It was a topic of conversation for some time. Anyway, looks good. Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse. That's coming later this year. Not surprising. There's also a comic book event called Spider-Geddon that has all various different types of Spider-Man and Spider-Lady in it. But hey, so next up, this is kind of the animated block because we're moving on to How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World, which is the third film in the series. They're actually billing this in the trailer as the final of the journey, which is great because that's a trilogy. That's fine. Let's do that.
It is. There's obviously the Netflix TV show as well that's in that world.
That's irrelevant, basically.
People quite like that apparently.
The animation looks like.
Looks a little bit cheaper, don't it?
Yeah, it looks cheap.
I know if you look at Troll Hunters, which is obviously again on Netflix is the DreamWorks animation. It doesn't look anywhere near as cheap.
This is literally the most I've ever spoken about this TV show to anyone ever.
That's fair enough.
I saw it on Netflix once when browsing once, and then just went past it because that looks cheap. That's like some knockoff TV show.
Fair enough.
That went on. Anyway, so I love the first two How to Train Your Dragons, and as soon as the main theme played in this one, that main rhythm they got, not main but piece, I was like, oh, I'm into this again, and I am super excited for this movie. I think it looks fantastic. I think the trailer itself is a little bit weird.
Yeah, it's clearly jumping around through time a lot in the trailer.
It's not even the time that bothers me. It's the weird split of the tone. The first half is all about, okay, so Toothless meets a girl dragon that he's into,
and he's trying to impress her. Yeah.
And it's all fun and light-hearted, and then it turns into, oh no wait, there's a dragon hunter who wants to kill Toothless, and then it becomes this dark story in the second half.
Yeah.
So it just feels a bit uneven in that sense to me, just in terms of the trailer sort of, going through the trailer just feels a little bit uneven in that sense. That said, everything in both parts of the trailer I liked. It was just like a weird mishmash of how it's
filmed
together.
I think, like I said, I think because it's jumped between time, there's parts of it where he's got a beard and parts of it where he hasn't.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I see, we're at different points of the story, which is normal for a trailer, but it doesn't feel cohesive on this one.
There's a couple of shots towards the end of the trailer that are absolutely fantastic. There's one where Toothless and Hiccup are walking through fire together, and it is beautiful. And then there's the Toothless being struck by lightning. Well, I say struck by lightning. He's kind of channeling the lightning. Yeah, it's a beautiful shot.
Yeah, and it's funny. I just talked about this kind of being a go-to style for animation. I know DreamWorks. It's slightly more distinct than the. I can recognize a DreamWorks animation compared to a Pixar. But it's kind of in the same ballpark. But my God, the detail on this is phenomenal.
It looks good. If I was going to make any critiques about the movie itself, just from the trailer, it's that okay, so finding a secret place with more dragons was kind of part of the plot of the second movie. But and there was this guy hunting the dragons like that. So there's some similarities to the second movie in terms of the core plot, but there might be more to it in the trailer's letting on.
Yeah, I have a feeling the plot is almost unimportant because it'll be about the character journey.
Yeah,
because that's what they're billing this as. Oh, this is the conclusion to these characters.
Yeah, and I'm in love with those characters. I'm down for all of it. How to Train Your Dragon was one of the biggest surprises for me. I remember putting that on as background noise, not thinking I'd care about it. And then by the 15-minute mark, the lights were off. I was sitting down and I was paying attention because it was that good.
So good, yeah.
So, How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World.
I think we'll have to cover the first two on Flux before this comes out.
We very likely will, yeah. So that is coming next year, next spring. So look forward to that. Sticking with animated movies, we have Lego Movie 2, the second one, or the second part. What was the name of it?
Second part.
There you go. This is funny. It's funny actually because the first one came out the same year as How to Train Your Dragon 2, and I perhaps had the controversial opinion that year that Lego Movie out of the 3 big animated movies that came out, which was those 2 plus Big Hero 6, I thought Lego Movie was easily the weakest of the 3. Which I think for some people is a controversial statement. I don't think it's controversial to me, because I think that.
I think because for me, Big Hero 6 is first out of the 3 without question. I think at the time, I preferred Lego Movie over How to Train Your Dragon 2, but I think How to Train Your Dragon held up a little bit better over time. Whereas Lego Movie is fantastic in what it does, but I don't think it holds up quite as well over time.
I think Lego Movie was boring in places. I liked the ending. I thought the point it was making at the end was really smart and well done. But the actual most of the plot of the movie, I thought was kind of uninteresting.
Yeah, I never had that problem.
But so we get a sequel trailer here, and it's more Lego Movie, I guess is kind of how I'd put it. Yeah. One problem I had in this is they have a really meta joke where they acknowledge that the girl character was actually the badass and actually the hero, and that Chris Pratt's character was kind of just like the useless one, but somehow he still get billed as the hero, right? They have a meta joke about that, and then almost immediately, part of the plot of this one is that she's kidnapped and Chris Pratt has to save her.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's true. I think the point is, because the first one did play with that. Right? It was very aware when it was making it that, she was the one that was actually the badass, right? And he was useless. That was kind of the point of that movie. And so I do wonder if they're kind of saying the point of this is he actually has to prove himself this time, and has to do it for himself. I
think it just cuts badly in the trailer because it goes immediately from acknowledging that as if like, hey, look at us, we're good guys because we're acknowledging we made that mistake, and then it immediately like just makes it worse. And it's like, this is weird. Why? And you're right. In the first one, it's kind of like a Big Trouble Little China thing where he's clearly the sidekick, but he's he's acting as if he's the main character. Like that's kind of the thing. So I don't know. Like, it looks fine. I'm not super excited about it.
I think it'll be fine in context of the full movie. I think, like I say, it cuts weirdly in the trailer to go from one to the
other. Rosa from Brooklyn Nine-Nine is the villain in this, so that should be fun. Although she's got like a robotic effect over her voice, so I couldn't really tell it was her.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. So it's kind of disguised, which is a shame. I was kind of hoping she would just sound like Rosa.
I get that.
And that could be fun, but
I'm looking forward to it though. I mean, a lot of good animated movies coming up. Like all of these look pretty good at worst.
Yeah. I mean, I think the first 2 are the ones that I'm really excited about. This just looks kind of fine to me. Like, it doesn't look bad, but
I'm definitely not as excited about this as the other 2. Don't get me wrong, but I'm still like, yeah, I'm going to be there. I'm going to watch this. I'm going to enjoy it.
All right. Next up, again, we got one more animated movie, another sequel. This is Ralph Breaks the Internet.
Yep.
And Ralph goes into the internet, so instead of lots of video game references, we're going to have lots of references to things like Google and Amazon and search engines and
a little Twitter section with all the birds.
Yes, meme jokes, that kind of thing. This is actually another one where I thought the first one was fine. I didn't love it.
Really?
Yeah, I thought it was kind of. It started off with a lot of energy, and then it spent most of the movie in the same place, and I thought that really dampened my momentum. I thought, okay, we're going to be jumping around all these worlds as we go, and instead it was like, okay, once we got to this Candy Crush race land, it was like, okay, we're just here now for the rest. It was all about winning a race here. Okay, I didn't realise that's what the movie was. It was kind of weird in terms of momentum. This one, I won't have that gain in as a problem, I guess, because it'll just be kind of like, okay, so what's the plot this time?
Yeah, I guess you'll more expect them to settle somewhere.
Yes.
And if they don't, then it's a nice surprise.
Yeah. Because even though I love Alan Tudyk, I never really thought much of the villain in the first one.
No, that's fair enough. I think Alan Tudyk, he does a good job. He did a good job in like 5 Disney movies in a row as a villain.
Yeah, this time they seem to be licensing a lot more different things. Even though obviously some of it's just owned by Disney, so it's whatever. Like they can do what they want. But because I think the big thing most people are talking about is the princess scene at the end of this, where they go to Disneyland essentially, and she ends in what's Sarah Silverman's character?
God, I can't remember the name.
But she ends up in the Disney princess
with all the traditional princesses.
Yes. And they're all threatening her. What's her face? Breaks a glass slipper as if it's a bottle she's going to stab her with. Like,
yeah.
There's some humor there. Yeah.
they're all going through. It's like, so what makes you a princess? So, which category of princess do you fall into?
Yeah.
And it's pretty good.
There's some meta humor there, and then the joke at the end, of course, is that it's just that it's the man who's the main character, and you're just you're supposed to be there to be saved. He's like, yeah, okay, well, you're a princess then. Okay, kind of funny. I'm not a big Disney guy, so there's a few of them that I didn't know which princess it was until they made their joke.
Oh, really?
When they made their joke, I got who they were from the context of the joke. But from looking alone, I couldn't have told you who half these were.
I think I could do all of them. Maybe couldn't name the one from what's it called? The Prince and the Frog.
I never saw it, so I'm not...
I can see her there. I couldn't remember her name though, which is a little annoying. I think I got all the rest though.
Okay, so it looks fine. Kind of like Lego Movie 2. Like, I'm not excited, but there's nothing wrong with it.
What I would say is I am so glad they addressed why isn't it Ralph Rex the internet, because that was something I thought a while ago. I was like, it seems like a missed opportunity, right? Mm-hmm. And again, as they kind of go into it here, it's like, yeah, but breaks the internet's a thing. I'm like, I mean, it is. This is why I kind of let it go. But I was glad they addressed it, because I thought someone had just messed up and not ever crossed their mind. Yeah,
that's fair. Yeah, that looks fine. I'm not super excited, but I think people who did love the first one will probably not have anything to complain about in terms of
I'm looking forward to this one.
In terms of the content. Next up, we have Peter Jackson's next film, Mortal Engines. We had a teaser a while back, a very short teaser of just kind of like what these cities look like moving, and that was basically it.
Yeah.
Here we have a full trailer sort of giving the plot and the idea that Hugo Weaving's the bad guy, and he's got this dark past, and this woman whose mother was killed by him in some way wants revenge, and they're trying to stop him, and they're in the evil mortal engine of London, which is now moving around like a big tank.
Yeah.
It looks kind of okay. It looks a little bit generic. I think my biggest problem on the trailer, in terms of like trailer sort of, in terms of the art of a trailer,
yeah,
I feel like it just ended suddenly. There was no like build up to a point, and then like dun dun dun. That's why you have to come and see this movie. This is the hook. It just kind of ended. And I really sort of like
I really wasn't into this. It felt really generic. I kind of like the designs of all the the city tanks. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, well, that's the best part, because I think we don't have enough steampunk in the world these days. There's not a lot of steampunk in movies, so that was kind of nice to see. But the more we got with the plot, the more I was kind of like, okay, whatever.
No, I feel the same, because I was at first I was like, I should love this based on the look of it, but it just didn't do much for me. Also, there's a speech at the start being given by Colin Salmon, and then he's just never in the trailer again. I was like, oh, that was disappointing. I thought, oh, there's an actor I like.
Honestly, I feel that Peter Jackson's just destined to never really match. Oh God, Dead Alive.
Okay.
I was trying to remember the other title for it, but I've blanked on that for some reason, so I went with the alternate title.
Yeah. Brain Dead?
Brain Dead. There you go. That's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't like Lord of the Rings.
I love Lord of the Rings.
I definitely don't like The Hobbit. Lovely Bones had some nice moments, but it was kind of murky overall.
Kong was way too overlong.
Way too long. I think Peter Jackson is just a bit of a bloated filmmaker. He's not doing it for me.
Like I say, I love Lord of the Rings, but yeah, I'm not feeling this. It just feels really generic.
It does feel generic. Next up, we got a trailer for a film called Bad Times at the El Royale, and so it starts off. John Hamm's there. You got Jeff Bridges, and Jeff Bridges is a priest, and it's this casino hotel that's like across the borderline, so it's in two states. One half's in Nevada, right? And it's like, okay, so this half you can gamble and this half you can't. And okay, so it seems like a bit of a quirky comedy at first, and then there's like a gunshot, and it's like, okay, it's a bit of a thriller in there as well. And it kept going, and it looked okay. And it started to reveal things like, like all the rooms, like they can be spied upon. Like they've built in like hidden, pathways where you can watch the rooms. It's all these one-way mirrors and stuff. And I was starting to get into it, but of course then it came up saying that it was directed by Drew Goddard, who directed The Cabin in the Woods, which was co-written with Joss Whedon, the creator of the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah.
I got it in there.
The moment for me was when it came up saying, from the screenwriter of The Martian, because he did that before, for the director.
He did do that.
I thought, oh, he's just writing the script, and I was like, that's fine. He's a fantastic scriptwriter. And then it comes up with the director bit. I was like, oh, okay.
Because obviously the thing they reference is Cabin in the Woods, because that's what he directed, and I love that movie. So,
me too.
I am excited by this based on the name, and I think the trailer kind of backs it up. Like, I think if the name wasn't there, I'd still be curious about the trailer, because I think there's still enough in it where I'm like, oh, this looks like a fun movie. It looks interesting.
No, I was really surprised by this trailer, because I went in, I'd seen, a screenshot of, Jeff Bridges with a gun or whatever, and I thought, okay, I think I know what I'm getting here, and I didn't at all.
Nah.
And I'm feeling the tone here at this opening bit, and I'm like, in my mind, it's like, I know where this is going on some extent.
It's kind of, it's got, I know you don't like Tarantino, but it's kind of got a sort of Hateful Eight style plot where all these characters kind of converge on this hotel. Yeah. And the trailer by the end of it, kind of, the other characters like, you're not really Jeff Bridges like, I'm not really a priest, and she's like, no shit. It's like, yeah, we're all here. Everyone's got a motive. Everyone's got an ulterior motive that they're not revealing at the start. And throughout the movie, we'll find out who's there for what, and who's the bad guy, who's the good guy. We don't know.
Exactly. And given that, I think that is a fantastic scriptwriter.
Yes.
I enjoy his direction, Cabin in the Woods, and wrong, but I think his script is where he excels the most. That excites me based on, when we get to the end and realize that's what this movie is. I got pretty excited for that.
Yeah, so that's a lot of the other trailers that came out that I was hoping would be good, I knew about them first. I didn't know about this movie at all.
Not me either.
This is the first I heard about it, and it's great. The trailer's good. I'm excited about this now. This is on my radar for the rest of the year. So
yeah, I think it's coming out like October. So busy October.
Yeah, October's stacking up. So that's Bad Times at the El Royale. Next up, we have a movie called Widows, which I actually remember once I'd seen more of the trailer and I saw who was involved, but it came up, I was like, I don't know what this is, but I'll see what it is. And again, I much like Bad Times at the El Royale, I didn't know who was involved in this, and I saw a couple of cast members that I recognised, and I was like, okay, fair enough. And then it came up saying from Steve McQueen, and I went, oh baby, now I'm into this. Because Steve McQueen, if you don't know Steve McQueen, he directed Shame and 12 Years a Slave. Two films that I think are absolutely fantastic. Like this is probably one of my favourite directors working right now.
Yeah.
He is exceptional. And this is a little bit different from those films because it's a group of characters and not just the one, although Viola Davis seems to be the most prominent character. She seems to be the leader of the group.
As well, in terms of who this is from, the writer's the woman who did Gone Girl.
Yeah, also notable, worth mentioning that. Gone Girl's a good movie too. Presumably a good book. Not read it myself, but people like it. Yeah. So the plot of this one is that 4 guys who are involved in stealing this money, they all end up dying. So that's why the movie's called Widows. And the idea is that the other criminals that wanted what they had start to harass the wives, and basically they come up with this plan, say, well, no one expects us to do this, so we're going to just go do it ourselves. And what I loved about the trailer is it opens with like a really sort of stark moment where someone in a mask shoots like a guy in the face. He opens the door and you see like the guy, and it feels kind of stark. But it's not until the end of the trailer when the trailer explains the plot of the movie and that these are people who weren't like this before and they kind of forced themselves to become it. They kind of struggle through the process of becoming these criminals. So when you get to the end of the movie and one of them puts on the mask, you realise how much of a bigger deal the fact is they just shot someone in the face. This isn't something they were used to doing. This wasn't a normal thing for them.
Yeah.
But now they're doing it, and it reframed what the start of the trailer was and how it felt to me, and I like that.
It's one of those rare things where that bit at the start is going to be what they put as the little short clip that they do. Usually it's not actually on this one. It's usually before the titles.
But a lot of the YouTube trailers have this now, where they'll have the little 5-second bit at the start that sort of like this is this trailer because because they also have these sort of double feature or sort of pull double duty. And there'll also be the trailers that play before other YouTube videos as ads. And because you can skip them after 5 seconds, they want those first 5 seconds to be like, hey, this is a trailer for this, stay around and watch it. That's their plan. Yeah.
Right. And so I can see that that shooting in the face, that being the moment that they go with for that first 5 seconds. So that again, that'll be the first thing most people see, I think. So again, recontextualizing it at the end is really smart.
No, it's good. It's actually a really smart trailer because of that.
Yeah.
It's funny because I feel like the plot right now doesn't strike me as something that will be as completely emotionally devastating as both Shame and 12 Years a Slave, but it wouldn't shock me to have him surprise me and say no. But at the very least, I see a very good thriller that's going to be well directed.
Yeah, it's a something that sometimes depending on style, this if you just describe this to me, I might go, okay, it's a bit of a crime thriller.
Yeah.
I might not be interested. But I see the trailer and I'm like, no, I'm into this.
Yeah, trailer's very well done. Very good director behind it and writer. So
yeah,
no, that's Widows. So also on the radar. This is a hell of a week for trailers. It's not only just that there's a lot of good ones.
There is.
Next up, we get a trailer for First Man, which is Ryan Gosling playing Neil Armstrong, and it's a story of course, like going to the moon for the first time, and the kind of the build up to it. I think what I liked about this trailer is that it had a focus, and that focus was, because this happened a lot in the trailer where people kept asking him about, what if you don't come back? What happens if something goes wrong? And he keeps saying, "Oh, we have every intention of coming back." Or he keeps saying that in some way.
Not even wanting to consider the idea.
So for me, this trailer was successful in that it told me that the focus of this movie was the idea of this is dangerous and we might not come back, and how Neil kind of dealt with that and how he processed that or didn't.
Or didn't. Yeah, that's what the trailer feels like to me. It's like he didn't process it, probably until it was too late.
And that's kind of my point, is that it's got a core emotional focus. And maybe that's his arc for the movie. If we're treating this like a story with a character, is the arc that when he gets up there, I should have considered that I wasn't coming back, and maybe I should have said different things to my wife, to my children, so on. It's about the fear as well as the wonderment of going up there. So... Yeah.
And I think, worth noting, you said it was Ryan Gosling, but this is also Damien Chazelle directing this.
Yes.
Which, yeah. And you mentioned how Steve McQueen is one of your favorite filmmakers working right now. For me, that Damien Chazelle is in that kind of contention. So I'm just like, okay, I'm really into this.
Yeah. I have no problems with Chazelle, but he does tend to, his last film was La La Land, which obviously I'm not a musical guy, so naturally that just rates that one off for me.
But yeah, you like Whiplash, right?
Whiplash is good. I don't love it as much as a lot of people do, but I think it's solid.
Yeah, I love that movie. But again, I think he's a fantastic director.
Yeah, I definitely see this being my favourite of his that I've seen when I see it. I think
it definitely feels like the one that you'd enjoy most.
Yeah, it's skewed more to something I enjoy and appreciate a bit more, especially since it's not just that it's a focused drama, because Whiplash is that too to an extent, but I think the fear of the unknown is even though we know what happens afterwards, but the idea to them, this was the fear of the unknown. I think that as a core theme for me is really exciting. So
yeah, and I like, we often complain how when you have something based on a real event, you get that biopic feeling where it's like, okay, we're kind of just doing the hits, right?
Yeah.
This isn't that at all. This is one moment, and of course it's the big moment, but you get what they're going for with the direction that they want to take this. This doesn't feel like, oh, we're doing a biopic about Neil Armstrong. We're doing that moment.
I mean, I think it's because most biopics, you've got people whose entire lives are important. Neil Armstrong is largely defined by one thing, and this is the story of building up to that one thing. And I think because it's that focused, it'll benefit for it. And added into the tone of the trailer where it feels like there is this fear, and I think that's where it's going to excel. So. Another good trailer.
Yeah.
First Man. There we go. Next up, we got the sequel from Sony, The Girl in the Spider's Web, which is a sequel to The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. But all the characters that are coming back have been recast. It's not the same director. For context with this one, I saw the original Swedish Girl with the Dragon Tattoo with Noomi Rapace. And liked that quite a bit. I saw that when it was in theaters back in 2010, I think, 2009.
11 maybe?
No, because 12 was when the US remake came out.
Yeah,
so it was like 9, 10. I think it was a Swedish film in 2009, but maybe we got it in theaters in 10. I think that's where
that sounds about
confusing it. But I remember liking that a lot. I saw the second one when it came out, and it wasn't as good. I never actually got around to seeing the third one. Not that the second one was bad enough to not see the third one. I just
lost interest.
I just sort of fell away from it.
Yeah, no, I've never seen any of them. I think the first one, from what I've seen, I've seen bits here or there. It looks pretty good, but I've never felt the inclination to want to sit down and watch it.
I like the first Swedish one quite a bit. The David Fincher remake is not a bad film by any means. It is a solid David Fincher movie, but it's one of those things where the whole time just felt redundant. In fact, because first of all, it came out 2 years after I seen the original, and I think at the time I actually laughed when I went to see it, the remake, because I'm pretty sure I get put in the same screen that I saw the original on 2 years prior.
Sounds about right.
And I remember sitting there feeling like this feels so redundant, even before it starts.
I've done this already.
Yeah. And then, there was a couple of things that were changed. I like Numi Rapice a lot more than Rooney Mara. If I go back to the news this week, or see the news when it goes up, I discuss my dislike of Rooney Mara. So, it's a fine film, but I prefer the Swedish original. I think just the tone of it being a Swedish film just gives it a bit more of a unique feeling than the Fincher one has. And the Fincher one kind of lent into a bit more of the love story towards the end. It was a bit weird for me.
It's weird. It doesn't sound like Fincher.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It's definitely a bittersweet, cold love.
Right.
So it's not like super sappy, but it is in comparison to the original, which didn't even have it.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, so that's context. So I don't love the Fincher one, but I don't think it's a bad movie by any means. This is based on a story that, because the author who wrote the original 3 books died. This is based on a story that came after that from another author. Set in the same universe, and this trailer we see that Claire Foy is Elizabeth Sander, and she's kind of this vigilante for men who abuse women in some way, and we see like a big scene of her like capturing this guy who's been beating his wife, cheating on his wife, battling lawsuits. He beat up some prostitutes, and she's basically stepping in. She's doing the Dexter thing. She's stepping in once the courts basically said, "Oh no, we've not found him not guilty," but she knows he's guilty. She comes in anyway and threatens him. Gives all his money to his wife.
Yep.
All that stuff. It looks kind of mediocre. It looks...
Yeah, this one didn't do much for me. I mean, I like Claire Foy, don't get me wrong, but I don't know. It looks a bit like a generic thriller, right?
It does. It feels like this year's Snowman.
Yeah. Yeah. Which, again, it looked fine. I don't think it's probably not a bad movie.
There's one or two, like the ending's very creepy. It's like this suction like bodysuit to suffocate someone, right? It's a really unnatural visual. It's this black latex that all just sucks into the body. It's almost as if they're being packed in plastic to be sold.
Packed.
Yeah, it's a vacuum pack. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, okay, I can picture it.
So like I don't know. Like it feels like a weird move. Like the first one wasn't that successful. That I feel. Like, had they got Fincher back and they'd got the cast back, I'd understand why they'd want to like make a sequel. But because they had to recast it and get a new director, I don't know if the first one was big enough to justify that.
No, I don't think so. For some reason, Hollywood loves this franchise, right?
Yeah.
They just want to make it because, The Girl in the Spider's Web. To a general audience, there's no one attached from the other film. They're probably not even going to connect this to that.
Only if you've seen the original and you recognise the character Elizabeth. That is the only way you'll connect them. But,
I mean, the fact that it wasn't that big of a success means that, there's probably more people going to see this trailer than watch that movie.
Which, to be fair, I think that they've designed it so it works as a first movie. Like, you don't have to have seen the other one.
It doesn't look like you need to have seen the others.
No. So, mediocre. It's going to be like this year's kind of like...
Here's your end-of-year thriller.
Your generic thriller that's not going to make any waves...
Yeah,
kind of thing.
It's a pretty safe, average movie.
Next up, we had another thriller. It's called Serenity, and how dare they use that name when the conclusion film to Firefly was only 13 years ago with the same name.
I'm not gonna lie. When you sent me a list of, it was 16 trailers because you'd missed, 15 because you'd missed one, and then another one came up later.
Mm-hmm.
But I said there better not be any joke trailers in here because sometimes you'll put okay, here's a bit of allowance. Like, not this week. There's too many. And then I saw that one was called Straight. I'm like, I saw it. Obviously, it's before I even opened any of the links, didn't know what it was. I was like, you better not have put that in there just because of that name.
No, it's just Anne Hathaway, Matthew McConaughey.
It's a proper movie.
Yeah, Justin Clark, because it's a movie worth talking about.
It is, but when I saw it, I just thought, oh, I don't trust you.
To be fair, I remembered what this... Well, I remember what it was. I remember that they were in it on the news.
I didn't remember the name, though, when I just saw that big list of trailers.
No, because I remembered complaining about the name when we talked about it the first time. That's why I remembered it.
Well, once I opened it and saw the names attached, I was like, oh, okay, I remember this one now.
So, yeah, this is a thriller where Anne Hathaway comes to Matthew McConaughey, who she seemed to have known in the past. She's known him at one point, maybe as an ex-boyfriend. And her husband, as she claims, is abusive, and she wants Matthew McConaughey to take him out on his boat because they're in this little, this seaside town, and drop him into the ocean for the sharks, as she puts it. But as the trailer goes on, it seems like everyone might be setting up McConaughey for something. Like, there's like lots of random characters who like give him these weird looks, like there's something else going on.
Yeah.
Some sort of mystery. That's also kind of feels like a generic thriller to me. It's the sort of thing where maybe the movie itself is a lot more subtle, and because of that, it might be a much more of a fascinating mystery. The trailer itself, though, is a little bit too look at all these hints and clues.
No, I agree. It's because I think it's because they're all cut next to each other. Those 5 minutes apart for those looks last what 2 or 3 seconds.
Yeah.
5 minutes apart, fine. Cut together, 6 in a row. You kind of go, okay.
Yeah.
But it's got a good cast though.
It's got a good cast, yeah. I like the 3 leads involved. So it's the sort of thing that this is whether or not I even see this is largely dependent on reviews. This is a does it review well movie, because what's there could either be very good or very bad.
Do you know what? It's not even that for me. This is how does this pair with something that I'm already going to the cinema to see? How does it fit into the schedule? If it's like, I can just slot in nicely before or after something, I might go, sure, I'm already there.
Surely, though, there's a fever pitch where if the praise is overwhelming, it overcomes whatever, right?
Yeah, sure, if it's that good.
Yeah, if it's at 95% in Rotten Tomatoes and everyone's talking about this is the hot surprise of the season, like, you're going to see it.
Oh, sure. I mean, even if it's reviewed good. Yeah. Right, like I probably won't bother unless it lines up nicely.
All right. Next up, Matthew McConaughey is busy this week. White Boy Rick is in there. In fact, so was Claire Foy. Claire Foy was in First Man as well. They were even back to back. We never mentioned that. That was shame on us. But White Boy Rick, Matthew McConaughey is the father to what turns out to be the youngest federal government informant of ever. He ends up joining up with a gang. He starts being a bit of a hustler. And starts rising in the ranks at the age of 15. And the whole thing, what's basically said towards the end of the trailer is like, well, would you ever suspect that a 15-year-old would be an informant? Like, that's the whole point, is that the gang wouldn't suspect him because he's too young.
Yeah.
And he's like, but it's true. And yeah, we know it's true, but they wouldn't suspect it.
yeah. McConaughey's just doing his thing.
This is set in the 80s. Obviously, it's based on a true story. I think I appreciated some of the tone of this trailer. I don't know if the story itself is one that interests me. I
agree. I think they might have played up the 80s thing a little too much at the start of the trailer. They really lent into it with the style and look of even like the logos and stuff they were putting up. And
yeah,
I thought, okay, we get it. It's in the 80s.
See, I like all that kind of stuff, but
I do as well. But I feel like you don't need to lean that hard into it on your trailer.
The movie then kind of felt like it wasn't, because it got to a point where it was like, okay, now he's infiltrating the gangs and they're starting to trust him. Like, okay, it's just a crime movie. I got a little bit more interested again though when it was like, no, he's an informant this entire time and he's only 15. Like, I was like, okay, wait, I can see why this is a story worth telling now. Like, I see where you're coming from with this, and the idea that he's like terrified of his father finding out, that the father has a bit of a shady past. We see that he's not exactly like the most law-abiding citizen, but he wants his son and his children to be better. He wants them to live a better life than him. So there's stuff in there.
It had some style to it. Weirdly, even though the section in the middle of the trailer where he's doing the gang stuff was probably the least interesting part in terms of the plot and the character, I think it had the most style in those sections.
That's fair. Much like Serenity, I feel like, and that's the Matthew McConaughey Serenity, not the Joss Whedon Serenity.
Not the proper Serenity.
Yes. I feel like this is one where if it reviews well, I'll be like, okay, right, let's see what it's. If people are saying it's good, I'll give it a look. The trailer itself is fine. There's nothing about it that's like, oh, this is going to be bad, or oh, that's doing this thing wrong. It tells its story well enough. It's maybe, I think they could have made a bigger deal about him being an informant, though. I felt like the moment that it tells us in the trailer that he's an informant, it's when it's listing as like, oh, he was the youngest hustler, the youngest that, and the youngest informant. I felt like they kind of buried it in a list of things where it should have felt like, no, this should be like the reveal of the trailer. This should be the twist like 2 minutes into the trailer.
I agree. I feel like it's something they'll probably explore more in a second trailer.
Yeah, that's probably true.
But, I mean, it looks okay at worst.
Yeah. Next up, trailer for London Fields. This is an Amber Heard movie. She's a bit of a femme fatale. The movie's going for a very sort of busy kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's got this kind of like, we want to be like upbeat and artsy. It's got that upbeat kind of...
Yeah.
You can almost imagine the entire score is going to have like just the the hi-hat tapping from a swing band. Right? You can almost see it having that type of score. So
yeah, I can picture it.
And she basically manipulates a lot of men. Is the movie?
I think this is an awful trailer.
That's fair.
This is okay. Everyone wants her, and then everyone wants her dead.
It's fine up until that point. Up until that point, I'm curious. Up until that point, I'm like, okay, right, you're leading me to it.
Yeah,
mystery.
And then I'm like, what's the rest of the movie?
Because after it said everyone wants, Nikki Sixx, right? And then
Nicola Sixx, yeah.
Nikki Sixx, and every time it mentions her, it's like, oh, she's sexy. Oh, she's very,
Amber Heard.
She's Amber Heard, yeah. She's very, she lights up the room when she walks in. All the men are gawking at her, and it's very stylish. There's a lot of close-ups. There's a lot of like moody lighting, and it says, and then again it says, everyone wants Nikki Sixx, and then in red, dead. And I thought that was the point where the trailer was going to change, and it was going to be her either on the run or her like defending herself or something. And instead, the trailer just kept going the exact same way, pretty much, that it did in the first couple of
and I think this is going to be because I know for a fact this movie has to have been shot a few years ago. Because, it's her and Johnny Depp. And, of course, there was all that stuff last year between them.
Yeah. He does seem to have a small role, though, in this, comparatively speaking.
He does. But I feel like this is going to get picked up, especially by, like, Twitter.
Because you don't even see him until, like...
2/3 through?
Yeah, like, he's not the... Like, you see a lot of some other characters before you see him. He's not, like, the second character.
I feel like, this probably been shot a good while ago, if they were still working together at that point. Which tells me, okay, so why has this been sitting for so long? Because, not always a bad sign, but it can be. But coupled with the fact that this trailer seems directionless.
Directionless is fair. The gap in time, though, let's say they shot this at the end of 2016, right?
Yeah.
That's not a weird gap for shooting till release. When it's not a blockbuster, but see when it's a big Hollywood blockbuster, that would be weird, right?
Yeah.
For smaller movies like this, that is not a strange amount of time.
It's not, but I wonder, just how, because I mean, they're both like a good few years younger to me. I don't know. Maybe it's just my eyes.
Never noticed anything like that, but yeah, sure.
Fair enough. But I mean, I don't know. I thought it was a pretty weak trailer, and then coupled with that, I feel like Twitter's going to have a field day once this comes out.
I think it's a weak trailer. I don't think unless it was even older than that, but if this was shot in 2016, I don't think the gap in time is indicative of anything.
No, that's fair enough.
I feel like there's a lot of films that, admittedly, maybe you'll see them on the festival circuits for like a year or two before they get released, and maybe that's a better sign, but and I suppose maybe this one, if you want to argue my point, you'd say, well, yeah, but it's got Johnny Depp and Amber Heard in it, why was it not shoved out?
Why have we not heard about this?
But then, hey, we were talking about how much we like Cabin in the Woods earlier, and that was shelved for like 2.5 years before it came out.
It was. Like I said, it's not always indicative of quality, but sometimes it is.
I don't want to watch it, though. I mean, that's fair.
No, me either.
But it's the thing, though. Even like before it seemed aimless, I wasn't really into what it was doing. Like I understood what it was doing, but I didn't necessarily like it. And then I got to a point where I didn't understand it because it just kept doing the same thing.
Yeah, I didn't dislike that first part. I mean, I wouldn't say I was really into it. I was like, oh, it looks perfectly fine. I was like, okay, maybe the second half, whatever it does next can grab me. This is the setup, and then whatever the twist is, I'll be like, oh, now I'm into it, right?
Yeah, because you think it's going to be the twist, though, with the everyone wants her dead. Okay, so they'll try to kill her. And there's a quick couple of shots of like maybe some violence, but for the most part, it's just her talking to more men and more flirting.
It looks very well shot.
Yeah.
If nothing else.
It looks like a Johnny Depp movie, basically, is what I'm saying.
That's fair.
And it looks like it'll bore the crap out of me. I say that I watched was it the Rum Diary, which was kind of a loose sequel to Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. And I've never seen that, but the Rum Diary was like 2 of the most boring hours of my life. And in fact, Amber Heard was in that, I think.
I never wanted to see that movie.
It was terrible. I hated it. It was so boring. It was so dull.
Johnny Depp. I really like Johnny Depp in small roles, like when he's on the side of a movie, on the fringe, right? I think he can be fantastic.
He's okay in Nightmare on Elm Street. Ever since then, I've not really felt him.
I really love his thing in Tusk. In that world.
That was his first movie, by the way. If everyone didn't get the joke, that was literally his first movie, I just said, so take that for what you will.
I was just saying, there are legitimately times where I do like him. just not when he's the big star usually.
Because I'm not a Tim Burton fan, so that writes off a good chunk of the movies that people like with him in it. I don't like Pirates of the Caribbean, that writes off another huge chunk. So yeah, not a fan. Anyway, let's move on. So next up, A Star Is Born, and this is a Bradley Cooper Lady Gaga film, in which Bradley Cooper's a country singer. And he's kind of getting disillusioned. I was kind of worried at the start of this that it was just going to be Crazy Heart, Jeff Bridges again, where he's like, oh, he's disillusioned and he'll have to find himself. It's the wrestler but with country music. But I've seen this before. It turns out to be that he actually meets Lady Gaga at a club, and he hears her sing and he thinks she's great. They fall in love and he convinces her that you should sing your own songs, but she's too nervous to do it, which is really funny when it's really Lady Gaga, because she is not shy. She's like the least shy person I can think of.
She's very out there, isn't she?
In fact, one of the weirdest things in this is that I if it didn't tell me it was Lady Gaga, I don't know if I would
you not know?
Recognised her visually, because she looks so different to this normally.
She looks so normal here, is what you're saying.
Yeah, she looks normal. She's not wearing a stupid meat hat or pointy silver spiky things or.
I'm with you. I did recognise this but I happen to know what she looks like when she's not doing all that stuff.
Yes. But yeah, so she's properly and obviously she's singing a lot in it because that's part of the plot. But she's also just
doing an actress stuff.
Yeah, she's actually doing acting here.
I mean, they put in, what was it? Was it American Horror Story that she did a bit?
Yeah, she had like 2 seasons of that, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, she's making a proper go at it. I mean, have you seen any other versions of this movie? Yeah, because obviously this is a remake again.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've heard of the title. It's
They've done a good few times now, right? Over the decades. I've
heard of the title. I never knew what the story of this was though. Which is why when I was talking about what I thought it might be at the start, I didn't know what the story of this.
Right.
I know that this has been done multiple times before. But
yeah. You've never seen any of them then?
No.
No, me neither. I thought you might have done, but a bit of a blank spot, I suppose.
Yeah. It's not really my type of movie, I think, more than anything else.
That's fair. No, I quite like the look of it, personally. I think Lady Gaga looks surprisingly good, right?
As an actor, you mean?
As an actor, like
I'm used to her looking so hideous, but she actually looks like a normal human being here. This is baffling to me.
No, I mean, as an actor, you see it all the time with singers decide, oh, I'm going to do some acting, and most of the time it doesn't pan out right. Most of the time it's pretty rough, but she looks pretty good here.
Well, that's just fine. It's not really my type of music. I don't particularly like country music either, so that also puts a hamper on it.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, but hey, yeah, if you like this type of film, I'm sure this trailer, did it for you.
I quite like it, personally.
Yeah. So moving on to Friday's Child. This is a film in 4:3. Yes, the first thing I'm going to mention is its aspect ratio, because 4:3 is a notable thing in this day and age.
It is.
And it looks like a very stark...
To be fair, it's always been notable in film.
That's not true.
For a long time.
No. Since the 60s, sure.
Right, okay, always was a bit, but I mean, compared to TV, which is what, in this day and age, people, 4:3, people still remember that on TV, whereas most people don't remember that as movies.
I'm just saying, the 30s and 40s, that's all film was 4:3.
No, it is, but again, since the 60s, that's a long time.
But not always.
Not always. That was a slight exaggeration.
Don't do that.
Dramatic effect. Damn it. You take aspect ratios way too seriously.
Would you take? I've gone out of focus. There we go. Would you take cancer lightly? No, you would not.
Sorry, I can't believe you actually went there. You compared aspect ratios to cancer.
I'd compare pan and scan to cancer.
I might agree with you on that one. you can get more on aspect ratios in a couple of weeks on Patreon.
Yes. Patreon exclusive 1.21 extra coming. Aspect ratio history lesson. It's coming, folks. It's coming. Anyway, so Friday's Child. Ty Sheridan's in here. Imogen Poots is in here, and I like Imogen Poots quite a bit actually.
I like Ty Sheridan usually.
Ty Sheridan's all right, but Imogen Poots is the one who stood out to me a little bit more. And there was a few other actors popping up here or there.
Yeah.
And this was a I think this is another one where if you just told me what the plot of this was, because it looks like he gets like in trouble with with crime, right? He agrees to do something and it kind of backfires. If you just told me that, I wouldn't necessarily, but like, here or there, whatever. But it's the style, though.
This is oozing with style immediately.
It's oozing with style, and it has that kind of stark. This is a documentary-looking film, and that makes it feel kind of raw.
One of my favorite moments of the trailer is he's in his bedroom and it's at night, and there's clearly police sirens, the flashing lights, and the way it comes in the window against the wall looks phenomenal.
It looks like a film that's going to revel in the silent moments. There's going to be a lot of awkward pauses between things, and it's going to sort of use that to build its atmosphere. It keeps returning to this shot of him running down the street. He's just jogging, but it's kind of the idea that it becomes more of a sprint as he's running away from his life. He's running away from his mistakes.
Yeah. It's Jeffrey Wright's in there as well, the other big actor.
There you go. That's who I was thinking of. Yeah, he's in there. Who, of course, we love from Westworld, so it's nice to see him.
Yeah.
So no, I was into this. I was like, I'd never heard of this, but I'm like,
I had no idea what this one was when you sent me this trailer, but I was like, yeah, I'm watching this.
Yeah, I'm into it. I'm just going to. I think I recognize the director, but I've forgotten who it was now. We watched so many trailers.
AJ Edwards.
Okay, I didn't know who that was.
If that name means anything to you, I've got it's still telling me here.
Yeah, no, I Oh, it's giving me a lot of other things. I'll go to IMDb instead. No, I like.
He's only directed one other movie in 2014.
Oh, that's who was in it. I knew there was someone else I recognised. Shitty Steve from Twin Peaks was in it.
Oh, yeah.
There was a quick glimpse of him.
Yeah. No, the other movie he's directed was 2014. It was called The Better Angels.
Do you know what? I've not heard of it, but I'm intrigued now, having seen this trailer.
I am too. Looking at his filmography, the only other movie I've seen, or not seen but heard of, that he's been involved in was Night of Cups, where he was an editor on that movie. That movie got a lot of praise at the time, a couple of years ago.
I recommend checking this trailer out, actually, because it's only a minute long. It's very much here's the mood of the film. But
it is a teaser trailer, so that's there.
But I think this is one of those movies where this is all I need to see. This is like all I needed from this was the style and the mood, and I'm in.
Yeah. My only concern is that it's a situation that to put recently is like Terminal, right, where that first teaser trailer soaked in style. I think, and then I learned more about the story, and it got less interesting.
That's very true, and that got very bad reviews as well.
Yeah, I saw it. I forgot to ever mention it on the news because you were meant to watch it, and then
That's because it got really bad reviews. I was not motivated.
Yeah, no, it got good performances from Robbie and Simon Pegg, but whenever it wasn't those two conversing, it was kind of boring. Nice style in terms of good soundtrack. Horrible third act, weird twist out of nowhere that's just pointless, and the last 15 minutes is horrendous.
All right, but we're talking about Freddy's Childhood.
I know, but I never got to mention it. I always forgot. So while it was in my head,
but this looks more, because I think with that film they showed so little, and it was just like her. That first teaser was just Margot Robbie walking down like an aisle, and then there was some lighting, and it was kind of ominous.
Yeah.
This to me looks a lot more confident. Like, this is pure filmmaking style. It's not just like here's a harsh light and some music.
No, it's true. So it's got a lot more going on in this teaser alone.
Freddy's Child is officially on my radar. Really curious to see how this pans out. Do you know what it is though? It's not so much that 4x3 makes it a better movie, and I think obviously once I see the film, I can debate why that was chosen for this story. I can maybe analyse that a little bit. I'd make some guesses just now about how his world's kind of closed off, and he's just in this little like suburb. He's never seen.
He feels like he's got a really narrow view in what his solutions or what he can do.
Yeah. I mean, we can make some guesses without even seeing it, but
it's not the fact is it's a choice, right?
Yeah. So let me finish my point, you ginger prick.
Oh,
right.
You went too long.
The point I'm making is that when I see something in 4x3 now, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be good, but it means whoever's filming it made a very conscious choice to pick a weird ratio, and that usually at least implies they at least think they're an artist, if not actually are an artist.
Yeah, it usually means they've done it for a reason, so they know what they're doing to some extent.
It's always possible it turns out they're a little pompous shithead who doesn't know how to make a film and thought this would make it look artsy, but typically it's usually a sign that whoever's made this has some some filmmaking style in mind. They have some reasons for what they're doing. And they're clearly not thinking about being a commercial success. They're thinking about, no, I'm going to show this at film festivals. The hardcore sort of film nuts will see it. and that's fine. Because obviously it'll be low budget, of course. For the
of course, yeah. I mean, most of the budget probably will have gone on Ty Sheridan, Imogen Poots, and Jeffrey Wright.
Aye, yeah. So, but it looks good. Freddy's Child, it's on my radar. Which brings us to the final trailer.
At last.
Of the week. And I kind of did this intentionally. I bookended the trailers with another horror trailer. I thought, oh, it's an old horror movie coming back. This is a remake this time of Suspiria, the Dario Argento film. And unlike Halloween, I didn't even know the trailer was coming this week. It was actually one of our audience members actually mentioned it to me. He's like, "Hey, did you see the Suspiria trailer yet?" I'm like, "Oh, I didn't realize it was out."
It was posted in the Facebook group, I thought, or did I see it in a different Facebook group?
I posted it earlier today.
Oh, I must have seen it before. I saw it yesterday, I think. So
Yeah.
it must be a different group.
And like I remember liking the original Suspiria. It's been a long time since I've seen it. I've only seen it once, and I remembered questioning why is that being remade when the plot's not that notable. It's just girls are getting killed. What made that film notable was its style. It was all the harsh colours and the weird sort of the cinematography was there. All that stuff. That was what made Suspiria. So it felt like a weird film to remake when the entire reason why it was liked in the first place was just the style of its direction, right? Go make another slasher movie if you want to, remake something with a good plot or whatever. And what I think's fascinating about this is that the one thing that I think about with Suspiria is the bright colours. It's the reds, the greens, the blues, the pinks. That is all gone. This is a dry, beige-looking world.
The only time you really see those sorts of colours are in the logos.
Yes. This is a fantastic trailer, though.
Oh, it is.
This has so much style, but it's doing a different kind of style than the original did.
It's the same premise, right? But just with instead of that style, it's gone, well, let's just do it in a different style. And still very artsy.
Yeah, it feels very cold. It might even, based on this trailer, there's a potential for me to end up liking this more than the original.
Bit more up your street.
It's possible. It just it depends what it does, but it depends if the film carries this tone all the way through. But it has this this alienation feeling to it. This cold alienation of these girls going missing, and Tilda Swinton's in there, looking very. She does creepy very well.
She does. She does blank face very well.
Chloe Grace Moretz is in there, again. So it's And when I say I don't mean again in terms of she's in the original. She wasn't born yet.
She's just in a lot of things.
I mean that we were talking about her on the news earlier on when we recorded that. So I don't know. I watched this, and the way the tale comes up one letter at a time. Like, it does that thing where it's very quiet. There's not a lot of talking in the movie, if any, or in the trailer. I mean, not the movie. But it does that thing where you get a couple of shots, and then it'll come up with the S. But when the S comes up, you get the big music sting, and it keeps doing it. It does that like very quiet sting, and not in a jump scare way. It's more. I'm thinking.
So it's punctuation.
Punctuation. I'm thinking more in the style of something like Darling. It's got that kind of classic 70s, like, and the film is made in the 70s originally, but more of a sort of psycho-esque kind of like harshness to it.
Honestly, that's almost one of my biggest concerns with the movie is that the punctuation of those letters gives this trailer so much pace that I'm intrigued to see how that is in the actual movie in the end. Like, what's how's the pacing in the scene? How does it feel? Because it's going to be completely different to this trailer.
I can see it because most of the scenes in the trailer feel like to me they're going to be long, quiet scenes. I feel like there will be some talking, but I think the impression this trailer gives me is there'll be a lot of awkward, long silences of like, just feeling the moment. And I think where those strings and stuff like that will come in, it'll be like the slow walk up the stairs where there might be a murder at the top, and it'll be like as the character walks up, there'll be the sharp stings every couple of footsteps, and that'll punctuate the tension as it goes up. Like, I can see it kind of being like that. It may not be. I mean, I'm theorizing based on what I've seen in the trailer, but I can see how this trailer translates into the pacing of a full movie. I can see it.
No, that's fair. And actually, I don't disagree. I can imagine what it will be. I just feel like it might be a very different pacing to this trailer.
To be fair though, how many movies match the pacing of their trailer? Unless the trailer is just one scene uninterrupted, which does happen occasionally.
Yeah. How
do you match the trailer?
I would say not enough do. I'd say some of the best trailers are the ones that do kind of go, okay, that's when I watch a trailer, I go, okay, this is a slow movie, in a good way.
And to be fair, I get that from this trailer. I feel like it will be a slow build of a movie.
That's fair. Yeah. I remembered, by the way, where I saw it. It wasn't another group. It was Tim was actually posting about it yesterday.
Okay.
Talking about his opinion on it, and I was like, oh, I guess there's a new trailer for that.
Did he like it? Was he into it?
I think, if I recall, I think he said he did quite like the trailer. He was surprised. He was like, oh, why do we need a reboot of this?
Yeah.
But I thought it was a pretty good trailer. Interesting. And I'm sure, which is important because Tim will be the one covering this with you.
He will be. We'll be reviewing this also this year. I am amazed that we got a Suspiria remake trailer, a Halloween sequel trailer in the same week, and both of them look fantastic. This is weird. I'm so used to horror remakes being like, oh god, toxic, get them away, they're awful.
No, I know. I will say the only weird thing about this to me is in the description it says, coming to theaters November 2nd. I'm like, why would you miss Halloween?
I don't know.
It's a weird choice, right? I mean, it doesn't have an impact on the movie as a whole, but it's just weird.
I don't know. It depends what day Halloween is. Maybe they just couldn't get it out the Friday before.
Maybe. It just strikes me as just a strange choice as to go just after.
Well, every year me and Tim complain that they put out a lot of horror movies in September. It's like, just wait a month! Put them out in October, you madman!
Halloween's on a Wednesday this year.
Yeah, so I'm assuming Halloween comes out the Friday before that.
Probably.
Because it'll get the big opening weekend, and then it'll get a boost on Wednesday because it's Halloween.
Yeah.
It makes sense. It works.
It does.
So that means that Suspiria is coming the Friday after Halloween.
I'd have gone just the week before Halloween if I were me.
I guess the hope is that they don't want to compete with Halloween, and then the following weekend, a lot of people who want to celebrate Halloween maybe couldn't do it on the Wednesday. They'll go, oh, we'll go see a horror film the weekend.
We'll do our stuff on the weekend that's closest, which happens to be afterwards.
I think that might be the logic there.
Okay, I'm with you.
Maybe it will work out. I don't know. But that's
a good movie though.
It looks good, but that is all 17 freaking trailers this week. This show will not usually be as long as this. This is abnormal. Normally, it works out about 10 trailers, usually, give or take.
Yeah,
something in that range.
You get the lighter weeks occasionally. Last week we only had like 3.
But that was also out of the ordinary. These are the extremes. Last week was the extreme low amount. This was the extreme high amount.
Average is like what, 8 to 12.
Yeah, something in there.
Yeah.
So. So it's the end. Now, most weeks we'll just pick a favourite each, but I think given there's so many this week, and there's so many that we liked, I think it's probably worth doing a top 5 each. So,
do you want to do a full top 5 each, or do you want to do my 5, your 5? And then
it's easier to do all 5 at once because I need to think about it that way. I can't say one and then I won't be listening to you if I will just be thinking about my own if I do that. So,
okay.
On you go. What's your top 5?
Okay, this is tough. I think 5. I think 5 might be. I'm kind of just flicking through them all again. Maybe as a trailer, I think I'll go with A Star Is Born, and it was a very strong trailer. 4. Again, this is usually not this drawn out because I can just pick one. 4 would be, I think, Suspiria. 3, Friday's Child. 2, Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse, and 1, Halloween. Which is weird because honorable mentions, you've got Bumblebee and First Man that I thought for sure would have been in there, but then I'm just going through it now. I'm like, it's not quite. Yeah,
I just copied the list and edited out all the ones I know for sure I don't want. I'm just I've got a shorter list to look at. What's that?
But how many does that leave you with still?
4, 6, 8. Let's move to 8.
Oh, okay.
So that's much easier to look at and go, okay, right, here's what I'm picking from. I thought it was. I mean, I get that when you're counting down things, you start with the lowest number and build up to the best. But if I'm thinking about it on the spot, it's easier to go from the favourite. So number 1 is Halloween.
Do you know what? I did that because you said, "What's your number 5?"
Did I?
I'm sure you did.
Maybe if I did, it's because I was still in countdown mode from the 90s countdown last week.
No, I'm sure you did, which is why I went that way because I just went, okay, 5.
Well, as soon as you started at 5, I went, that was weird. Why is he doing that? At the end of the comics podcast, we don't start at 5. But
no, we don't.
Anyway, so Halloween's number 1. I think, honestly, Suspiria is number 2.
Oh, fair enough.
And then Freddy's Child at number 3.
You're such a mark.
What?
There's a movie that I go, yep, yeah, you're gonna like that one, and you've just ticked the boxes so far.
Shut up. And then probably Spiderverse at number 4. And then number 5. See, now I'm left with Bad Times at El Royale, Widow's First Man, and I push Bumblebee, but it was between those 4 at this point. I think 5th place, I'll probably put El Royale. No, Widow's did that thing where it recontextualised the start. So you know what? Yeah. I'm going with Widow's.
This is a great week for trailers.
It is a great week. Next week's going to feel like shit after this.
Man. I don't think we do another episode of this. I think this is it. One time only. Don't ever top in these trailers.
So that has been 1.21 Jigowatts trailer talk, and I should promote a few things before we go, especially if you've just stumbled onto this as the first thing you've watched from us. It's probably worth us telling stuff. Obviously, the audio feed, this will be on with the movie and TV news, of course. We do have a Patreon over at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. There's a link in the description. Worth checking that out. It's got a list of all the shows we do, both the YouTube links and also the audio feed links. You also have bonuses there, of course. If you want to support the channel, you can do that there. And you get some extra things. There's 1.21 extra that we're just about to start this month, which is like a monthly discussion, based on movies. That's a bonus at Patreon. But there's stuff for all the other stuff we do. There's voting for all the movie review shows. We get there's like a voted for episode of each one that you get to do in Patreon. So there's that. You can also like, subscribe, if you want to support us that way. Get us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. But otherwise, that is us. So.
Yeah,
obviously,
I just say if this is the first time you've kind of stumbled across us, definitely check out the movie news show, which will probably be up soonish, depending on whatever your schedule is.
It'll be on Sunday sometime.
Right, there we go. Sometime on Sunday. Just because this was traditionally part of that show, so if you enjoy this, you get a bit more of that over there.
Yes. This is just kind of a separated segment out of that because this grew too big. So that's cool. Yeah, obviously there's movie reviews going up. Me and Tim do horror movies every week on streams after midnight. We just did the Strangers sequel, Pray at Night, so you can check out that. Influx is typically me and Connor doing older movies. Me and Matt will do Gigawatts when there's a new movie out. Although sometimes the cast of those reviews will rotate around. I didn't want to see Solo, for example, so Matt and Tim reviewed that.
Yeah, I was unavailable, unfortunately.
Yeah, because you would have been there because you're a Star Wars nut.
I definitely would have been, yeah.
Yes. But then sometimes, it'll be, Connor will jump onto a new movie. Sometimes Tim will jump onto a new movie. That happens. But that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching movies, guys, and we will see you next time.